Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bantamweight Boxing YouTube channel. Pound for pound, the #1 boxing YouTube channel around. And I'm here, joined with me, Joseph Waite. Say hello.
Good evening, ladies and gents.
So today it's just the two of us, but we thought we'd do a little breakdown of the fight on Saturday. Obviously, Kell Brook versus Amir Khan. Everyone was so excited for that fight. And it didn't play, well, it was a very exciting fight, but it didn't play out how a lot of us were expecting it to. We said in the whole build-up, and most other people did as well, that we were expecting a bit of a 50-50 fight, didn't know how it was going to go. But it actually proved to be the complete opposite with a Kell Brook domination. What did you make of the fight, Joe?
I think, yeah, like you said, it didn't fill our expectations in so much as it wasn't as contested as we originally imagined, but it was certainly as exciting as I would have hoped it would have been. Like you said, it was a domination job, really, but that was surprising. But it lived up to the hype. I had a good evening, had a few drinks, watched it, and I enjoyed it, I must say.
Yeah, I think obviously Boxer are like a new promoters right now with Sky Sports, and I think they did a wicked job. With the whole build up. I think obviously this fight kind of sold itself. You know, everyone had been waiting for it for so long, but I still think the press conference was great. The gloves are off was great. And the fight was not what we were expecting, but was still very entertaining. And I think secretly, the guy who everyone kind of wanted to win won, which you don't always get in boxing. And although Amir Khan took a bit of a beating, and when you see when I was seeing the press conferences afterwards and just the interviews, I was like, wow, he did get mush up. Like his face is battered, but he can still leave the sport with his head held high. Like he's done such.
Yeah, and he was gracious in defeat as well. On top of that,
I thought so.
Afterwards,
yeah, he wasn't bitter or anything like that. He was like the best man won. Didn't make any excuses. You know, didn't blame his jacket that he wore into the ring or anything like that. So yeah, he was gracious in defeat, and you've got to be happy for him. He's had a wicked career, and he seemed as well to know this is the end for him. He wasn't, there was no talks of, oh yeah, if I had a better training camp, I'll be back stronger and, I'll have another fight. He's made it very clear, I'm going to call it here, which is a good thing because he would have got a nice big payday. He got paid quite well throughout his career, really. And now he can end it on quite a positive, it's not positive, but like,
well, a lot of boxers say they want to end their career on their feet, and that is the way he went out. Certainly on his shield, he took a bit of a battering, but by no means he quit. And that's why we've watched Khan throughout his career, because he's always had that air of vulnerability about him, but he's never been shy of a bit of heart. And we saw that again on Saturday night.
Yeah, so let's break down the fight a little bit. There's not really too much in a lot of ways to break down because it was one-way traffic, wasn't it? It wasn't what's the last fight we were kind of talking about was Eubank Williams, where, Eubank was strong at some points and Williams kind of came back. Kell Brook was dominant from the get-go, and he landed, it was almost like a straight left, and it was like a bit of a jab, but quite a powerful jab in the first round. And you could see that wobbled Khan, and his legs went, and you knew that was kind of it. And to be fair to Khan, he did well to rally, to keep going for that long. But yeah, it seemed once he took that big shot, it was all him just kind of in survival mode from then. And I think Brook, I think Brook looked very good. He didn't necessarily land a lot of big shots, I wouldn't say. There was no Canelo Alvarez, was there? But it was consistent damage.
Yeah, I think Khan still, he was in there and he still had that speed that we've seen. And he come out quickly as we expected he would, but Brook just timed him every time.
Yeah.
Like you said, there was no complete slip and absolute, devastating one punch landers. But like you said, I think it was just a very sort of regimented jab that hit him bang down the middle, and that wobbled him
straight down the pipe. Yeah.
Down the pipe. And once you see that you can do that to your opponent, it's gonna be a long night, and it was for Khan. But like you said, he hung in there.
Actually, before we go any further, I nearly forgot about this. We've actually got a special guest on the pod tonight, and it is the Tyson Fury energy drink. I saw this walking past Iceland, and I was like, I can't turn that down. And I've been waiting to try it. I'm going to quickly try it. I'm obviously not going to say it's bad. I'm too scared to say it's bad. But
How much
Ooh.
is Fury paying for this promotion, by the way, mate?
Yeah. Not
Quite a fair bit.
actually, surprisingly. Yeah, that's all right, actually. That's not too bad.
Was it
That's not
like
too bad.
a Red Bull Monster sort of flavor, or
No, not really. It doesn't really taste like an energy drink. It's not, they've got that like, they
yeah?
all kind of taste the same. It doesn't really taste like that. This
You
is,
got you got to be careful. That might be the shit they put in Wilder's water bottle, mate. Not
yeah,
to
yeah.
hinder your
Hopefully it's the shit
performance.
they put in Furies, mate. Then I'll
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, little slight detour, but back onto Calm Brook. Just made me 50 quid there.
Yeah.
Looking at the
I've got a
fight.
question. I've got a question for you, Mike. If
Oh,
we're
right.
going to look at the fight, it's obvious it was a domination job, but would you say, obviously there's an obvious answer, so would you say that this was Khan at his worst and it's just a depleted man, or is this a very strong, measured and hungry Kell Brook?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, to be fair. And whenever a boxer beats another opponent, it's always a matter of one, having a good day at the office and the other not. But with that, is looking at Khan and Brook, it's a question of what was more the case. Was Brook really dominant, or was Khan, really bad? And I'm leaning to the side of, I think that was a pretty washed up Amir Khan, to be fair. It was a great performance from Kell Brook. He couldn't have actually done any better. But I think we were really looking at an Amir Khan who shouldn't really have been in the ring in the first place. Do you know what I mean? I think his career was done. He just didn't really offer anything. Even before he got, took a couple of shots, he just didn't really offer anything. I thought he looked very slow in the ring. What you used to see of Amir Khan was not just the hand speed, but his ability to come in and out and circle. That's what he did very well, against those fights in Maidana and stuff like that. Is you see a guy who, when he's in, he gets close, bang, 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 out, move. He trained with Freddie Roach, didn't he? So it's almost similar to that Pacquiao style of being able to come in, throw the punches, and then out. Maybe not so much power, but we just didn't really see any of that. We saw glimpses of the hand speed, but yeah, I thought it was quite a poor Amir Khan. Yeah. Obviously, again, take nothing from Kell Brook. Thought he was fantastic. But can we look at that performance and then say he can hang with the welterweights right now? No, he was made to look a lot better than he is in my opinion.
No, I agree completely. And what you're saying about the hand speed, you did see it was there, but again, like you said, that's only effective when you're coming in and out of range and then you don't get hit. Khan was going in there doing the combinations, but he'd give three but take two anyway. Yeah. And Brook's shots were really hurting, whereas Khan, he wasn't really pushing Kell Brook back. Brook would cut off the ring very nicely, didn't fear the power of Khan at all. Yeah, and every time they engaged, it was a bit of a shootout. And we said on the pod last week, they go toe-to-toe, Brook's the bigger man, and it will favour him. And that's what happened, really.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's almost like you can draw parallels with Usyk, AJ, and I've actually no, that's actually a terrible parallel. Scrap that. What I was going to say is, I think Kell Brook felt the power of Amir Khan quite early and was like, you know what, this don't trouble me that much. I think very early doors. I think Brook's original game plan was probably to be a bit more reserved, feel him out a little bit. But I think he had a few exchanges with Khan, was like, you know what, I can punch with you easy and I'm going to draw you in a little bit. And that's what happened. The biggest shots that Kell Brook landed were in those exchanges that you're talking about, where he was like, yeah, I'll take a few and I'll land a few more back. So yeah, I think that was quite a big factor in the fight. But yeah, it was overall, I think it was a really good fight. Very happy for Kell Brook.
You could tell he needed that.
He needed that. Yeah, it meant a lot more to him.
A lot more to Khan.
Yeah, and you saw that throughout the whole build-up. Khan was playing to it for the money, but deep down you were like, no, Brook actually wants to fuck you up. Yeah. Just pause 1 second. I'm just gonna try a little bit.
Have a little sip of the Fury good stuff.
The Fury good stuff. Let's talk about their futures now going forward. We kind of touched on Amir Khan.
Amir Khan, Barbados, maybe, I don't know, somewhere hot.
A few pina coladas.
Yeah.
Maybe some fights with some YouTubers, who knows? But I think we can all agree, and he will agree as well, that that's over. But the big talking point is, where does Kell Brook go? Because it was a great performance from him against a big name in Amir Khan, and I cannot see him stepping away and retiring now. There's just no way. Because also as well, what you've got to remember is Amir Khan has made a lot of money in his career. big fights, you know, the Canelo fight, big names, big world title fights. But Kell Brook, I don't think he's probably made that much money in his career. Do you know what I mean? There's not, you got the Sean Porter fight, Errol Spence, but Sean Porter, I think, was a mandatory as well. So he wouldn't have even been paid that much for that fight. So this would have probably been one of his, you know, first big paydays. And I just can't see him. I can't see him walking away now. It's very few fighters who end on a win like that. What about you? What do you think?
I agree completely. And I think Brook's got the momentum now. But also what I think is that I think he may overestimate himself by looking at that performance, as many people will. But I think there'll be a lot of bigger boys like the Chris Eubank Juniors who will be looking at Brook and going, look, you've beaten a Khan who was completely washed out there. I can beat you. I'm in my prime. You're not. Yeah. And I think people will in the public eye will overestimate Kell Brook's ability now at this stage in his career. Whereas I think there'll be a lot of boxers that will be licking their lips and going, I can make a lot of money off you and I could probably beat you on my better day. Yeah.
He's a great guy to fight right now, Kell Brook, because if you're looking at it, you're going big name, a lot of money on the, you know, he's a big name, so it equals you're going to make a lot of money. As you say, he's coming towards the end of his career. Most fighters in their prime will be like, I could probably do you, just for kind of resistance levels. So it's a fight you want to make. And also as well, it's going to be easy to sell because, you know, he's a Brit name, big name, but that was such a good performance and the whole of the UK saw it, where you're like, you know, it's just going to be an easy sell, isn't it? So let's stay with, what's his name? Chris Eubank Jr., because I think that fight's happening next. I'd put money on that fight happening next. They're both with the same promoter, both with Sky Sports and with the Boxer promoters. I think they've even started speaking about it. I think there's even
they've back and forth on Twitter, I believe. But obviously the big sort of controversy will be at what weight in which they would fight. So I think Eubank's hit out and said, well, you fought Golovkin at 160. But I think Brook's saying I'm not going heavier than like 155. But obviously that'd be a bit of a drop for Eubank.
Because Eubank's fought at super middleweight as well. So you know, he's fought at 168. So they'll have to fight at, you know, I'm sure they'll fight at some kind of catch weight or whatever. But I don't know. I don't think Eubank could get down to anything like that. I think Brook, will have to go up. I think
the onus will be on Brook to go up.
And yeah, I think it will.
But then with that being said, I think Brook's the A side in this. So I don't think he should have to. I think coming off the back of that win, I think he holds some cards to say, no, if you want to fight me, you've got to drop down. For the Khan fight, Brook had to drop a load. I think it's a bit unfair to then say, right now, put on another 15 pounds or whatever. And then
I'm not sure he is the A side going into it though. I'm not 100% sure of that, because Eubank's got options. He's got options still, but I don't think,
it's an interesting debate.
It's an interesting one. I think they'll, I suppose with that fight, it's not really an A or B, is it? I think they're probably equally kind of names.
Domestic household names that everyone knows. And, you know,
and they'll both want the fight, because I think they'll both look at it and think they can win. I think Kell Brook will still look at that, the Chris Eubank fight, and go, look, you got outboxed by, you know, Liam Williams. He's not of the caliber of boxer, you know, technically a caliber of boxer that I am. And I think he'll back himself. Personally, I don't really. I think the size is just going to be.
That's what I'm thinking. I think technically, Brook is a better fighter, and pound for pound, Brook is the better man. But
we're talking about someone
he's younger. He's hungrier, younger. It'll be a different animal. Brook was hungry in that fight and had that ferocity against someone who he's hated for 20 years. But
now he's looking for the cash out, isn't it? He's not, and there's not going to be any shame in losing, is it? Because he's going to be like, look, I fought someone who campaigned at 168, you know, super middleweight, and I've fought at welterweight all my life. You know, that's a big. It's a bit like the Golovkin fight. You know, he went up, he got bashed up, but no one would ever even mention the Golovkin fight, because he's just like, you shouldn't really have been there in the first place.
You just respect the heart and credit to getting in there with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but at the same time, I would lean, I definitely lean towards Eubank. I think taking any kind of emotion out of it and just being practical, you'd be like, look, come on, he's way bigger. He's not technically the best fighter, but he can bang. You know, he dropped Liam Williams. He's dropped other fighters before. later on in the rounds, Kell, you know, we didn't see Kell past 6 rounds as well. That's another factor.
True.
You don't know, you know, you don't know what the stamina is like, what the punch resistance is like. You know, he barely took any shots in that fight. He came out looking like, you know, he had just gone for a swim or just, you know, literally looked fresh. Like, so you know, he wasn't really tested. We don't know what ability he's really at right now. And I just think Eubank's got the physicality to probably do him. What do you think with that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's just too big, too hungry, too young.
Yeah.
Boxing, like I said, boxing ability, Kell Brook's superior, but at this stage in his career, can't see that ending well for Brook.
Yeah, no, me neither. Well, I think that's probably.
I was just saying, who else is there out there for Kell Brook? Obviously, that's been
the other name is probably Benn, potentially, but that's
they won't put Benn in there. It's just
no, I don't think they will. I think you're right there.
He's too precious. He's too precious, Conor Benn.
And they're not with I think Eddie Hearn's not very close with Kell Brook anymore. Conor Benn's like a golden goose for him now. Conor Benn's basically is, you know, his next AJ, really.
Yeah.
Which is pretty depressing because I don't rate Conor Benn that highly. But yeah, he is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure he would put him in with Kell Brook. I think Kell Brook's still too dangerous. They'll probably wait another 2 years or something like that, and then wheel Kell Brook out.
Yeah.
And then for a little, you know, 2 second round knockout or something like that. But yeah, I suppose you're right. I think in that sense, then, I don't know. I don't know what else there really is for Kell Brook. But
there's that rematch clause, but I don't think Khan.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll take it. I'm sure he'll be up for that. But I did say about this. When we were talking about the Kell Brook and Amir Khan originally, I was saying that I reckon they're lining up for Kell Brook to come back and fight Chris Eubank, and I think that's going to be the fight that's made. But I think this is probably a good place to wrap it up. Spoken a little bit about the fight, see what happens with Kell Brook and Chris Eubank. But yeah, I think that's highly likely that's going to go down. But let's wrap it up there. Thank you guys very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It helps loads. Drop a comment. What did you make of the fight? And also, who would you like to see Kell Brook in with next? It'd be good to know. Joe, do you want to say a little goodbye?
Yep. Good night, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Yep. Thanks, guys. And good night.